Suppose that it is time to go live with the motor. You see this big motor in here? We are excited. We're excited because it is now in the boat. I kind of wanted to talk about this motor, why we decided to go electric, what this motor is capable of, why we chose electric yacht, that kind of stuff. So first of all, we actually looked at a lot of boats before this one, and one of our biggest complaints on looking at older boats was the smell. You could smell the engine room throughout the whole boat. It just smelled like petroleum and diesel and just, you know, that kind of stuff. That residual was there. The other thing we realized was there was a lot of noise involved in having a diesel motor run. So when we bought this boat, and basically they were having problems getting our motor started, and it was, the water was filled up to the covering the bottom half of the water for like 8 months in the bilge. We thought, you know what, let's just take the opportunity right now to say we're going to pull the motor out and get rid of it and do something different. So we started investigating the electric motors. The electric motors are really nice because they are quiet and they are clean and they are virtually no maintenance. 90% of your maintenance in an electric motor is just in battery maintenance, just making sure you don't screw up your batteries. So we'll probably have a whole video on just our battery system and how that works as well. But this motor particularly is a motor through Electric Yacht out of California. Why did I go to Electric Yacht? I could have probably done something at an electric motor in this for half the cost if I had done it all myself. But I got a big project here, and there's a lot of math here, and there is a lot of unproven systems that are out there, and I wanted to be comfortable knowing that this motor setup was designed to be operated on a boat. All the corrosion stuff, all of that stuff was already all taken care of, that it was mathematically created and designed to work properly with the batteries and properly with the chargers, and that I could manage that system really well. And all of these parts are integrated together. I didn't have to try to figure out how to buy something on eBay and make it work with what I had. This looks really huge, and it is a pretty huge motor. It's actually two motors. This front part here is a motor, and there's an identical one behind it. And they both go the same direction. So essentially one would be going forward and one would be going in reverse, but they're turning in the same direction, which turns these belts right here, which come down through here and around this, which turns our koa shaft right there. So that's how they work. There's a lot of different motors that work. You know, I know people that have done forklift motors and other types of motors out there, and those motors are good and they'll do the job, but you got to fiddle with them a lot. You gotta you know, make everything work together and overcome problems that I didn't want to take the time to overcome. So I have a little bit of a background in electronics, so I probably could have figured it out, but I just really didn't want to take the time to do that and try to find all those parts and make them work together. So this is what we have. It's going to be an amazing setup. One of the things that Electric Yacht has done that is fairly new, but Electric Yacht has gone to water cooling their motor systems. That is one of the problems a lot of people have in a sailboat with an electric motor right now, is keeping it cool, and most of them are air cooled. And so going to an electric cooled system is going to be a lot more efficient at keeping these motors in a cool state when we're operating them under a high load. So that's what you see here. This is the heat exchanger system. Your seawater will come in over here and go out over here, and the coolant from the motors gets circulated in a little thing in here that trades the heat from, it pulls the heat out of the coolant from these motors and then shoves it out the end, and the hot water, and dumps it back into the ocean, and it sucks cooler water in the other end from the ocean. And so that's how the heat exchanger works. This one appears to be thermostatically controlled, which means the little pump on it will only kick on when the motor needs to be cooled down, and it'll just kick on and cool down the motor. When the motor's cool, it'll kick back off. So it's not a mechanical seawater pump like you see on most of your marine diesel engines. So this setup right here is just under $12,500 for this setup. All the parts and pieces you see here. Batteries are extra. Batteries are on me to decide what I want to do. If I was willing to go at 2.8 knots, which is not really fast, but I could literally motor for 26 hours on my battery banks and go approximately 73 nautical miles. Now that's obviously assuming calm seas, no wind, and I'm not fighting any current. If I want to jump it up to 4.8 kilowatt or 4.8 kilowatts of draw, I can go 4.5 hours on my battery banks and go about 21 nautical miles. So the challenge with batteries is the more load you put on them, the faster they deplete. So a lower load, I can go a lot longer. One of the advantages Tammy mentioned that we wanted to go hybrid. Now, the hybrid electric, what that does is, because we have an onboard generator, we have a 5,000 kilowatt generator that's also a diesel generator on board. That generator can serve a couple purposes. One, it can recharge batteries. Two, it can actually drive this motor all by itself at close to 5 knots of speed, as long as I have diesel. Now, if I decide to kick it up to like 8 knots, right, and I have the generator running, it'll supply the 5 knots, and the batteries will kick in and supply the other 4. So it'll be the equivalent of running, 4,000 watts through the batteries instead of 9. Whatever that math is, sorry, that's not the right one. That's not really how we want to operate the generator, because the generator once again goes right back into the same category as to why we decided not to put the diesel motor in, right? But it is there in case we need it. We could literally motor at 5 knots with just the generator. It's an amazing system. It's going to be really fun to put in, and we'll try to be as honest with everybody as we can about how it performs when we actually get it in. But I'm excited. I'm really excited. This is here, and it's a big, huge part of the retrofit on our boat that we can now get put into place so we can eventually get out of this boatyard and back in the water. So if you have any questions on any of this, feel free to make a comment down below. Ask us. We'll be happy to respond, and give a thumbs up like to this video and subscribe.